nothing wrong with getting the highest grades in the class, but that isn't going to be the quality that sets apart a big winner from the rest of the pack. But some of you are going to be bigger winners than others. The initiative is here. The intelligence is here. It gets down to a bunch of qualities that, interestingly enough, are self-made. It's not whether you're the best-looking person in the room. It's integrity, it's honesty, it's generosity, it's being willing to do more than your share. It's a whole bunch of qualities that really come out of Ben Franklin or the Boy Scout code or so, whatever it may be. All those qualities that are self-selected. You can't change the way you are wired much, but you can change a lot of what you do with that wiring. We look for three things when we hire people. We look for intelligence, we look for initiative or energy, and we look for integrity. And if they don't have the latter, the first two will kill you. Because if you're going to get somebody without integrity, you want them lazy and dumb. It's that third quality, but everything about that quality is your choice. It's the habits that you generate now on those qualities, or those negative qualities. I mean, the person who always, claims credit for things they didn't do, that always cuts corners, that you can't count on. I mean, in the end, those are habit patterns. And I see that all the time. I see people with habit patterns that are self-destructive when they're 50 or 60, and they really can't change them. They're imprisoned by that. Someone once said the chains of habit are too light to be felt until they're too heavy to be broken. There are a couple questions I always get asked. People always say, well, who should I go to work for? I was up at Harvard a while back, and a very nice young guy picked me up at the airport, Harvard Business School attendee, and he said, I thought it would really round up my resume perfectly if I went to work now for a big management consulting firm. And I said, well, is that what you want to do? And he said, no, but he said, that's the perfect resume. And he said, look, I went to undergrad here, and then I worked for X and Y and Z. And I said, well, when are you going to start doing what you like? And he said, well, I'll get to that someday. And I said, well, your plan sounds to me a lot like saving up sex for your old age. The real thing to do is to get going and for some institution or individual that you admire. I mean, it's crazy to take in-between jobs just because they look good on your resume or because you get a little higher starting pay. The dean called me up a couple of weeks later. He said, what'd you tell those kids? He said, they're all becoming self-employed. So you've got to temper that advice a little bit. If you get a good business, it's the gift that keeps giving. I mean, it gets better over the years. We have 73 businesses. We've got a little bit of everything, but I want more of everything. And I hope the 73 becomes a much bigger number. But the real goal at Berkshire is just keep building more and more earning power from operating businesses with terrific managers doing. That means I don't have to do a damn thing. I just sit there in the office and, play my ukulele or whatever. Now, I like buying stocks too, and it's, it's a game I know to some degree. There can be all kinds of companies that have wonderful futures, but I don't know which ones they are. I have an old-fashioned belief that I should expect to make money in things that I understand. And when I say understand, I don't mean understand, what the product does or anything like that. I mean understand what the economics of the business are likely to look like 10 years from now. The internet isn't going to change the way people chew gum. It isn't going to change which gum they chew. Those brands will be there 10 years from now. And I'm not going to be way off if I try to look forward on something like that. That evaluating that company is within what I call my circle of competence. I understand what they do, I understand the economics of it, I understand the competitive aspects of the business. You can't run 100 billion or 200 billion the way you can run 100 million. So it's an anchor to performance. When I was running a few $100,000, the whole world was my universe. Any idea, thousands and thousands of companies, any single one of them that was a good idea would have an impact on our net worth. Now that universe has just kept shrinking, because if we do something brilliant with $100 million and in relation to 160 billion, it doesn't move the needle. So I have to look at a very, very large companies, and that means that relatively few companies. That means that all kinds of things that would make sense for me to do if I was running $1 million or $10 million no longer make sense. I tell people, we're looking, we're looking for St. Bernards and not Chihuahuas, and And even though I say that, I hear about a few chihuahuas. I mean, people can't resist the temptation to say, but I've really got this wonderful little business, and they may have, but I just can't focus on that. Everybody knows our check will clear. We can do big deals. We never we've never made a contract where it says subject to financing. I mean, we're financed. And so if I shake somebody's hand, they have a deal.
They know we'll act fast if we like something. So we are the best fast buyer for anything that involves in the billions of just about anybody.
We have a lot of people that would like to join us, but prices are such, competition for buying business is such, that the chances of pulling any one of them off is slim. But if you keep trying to kiss enough girls, eventually one says yes.
I've always assumed that in a lifetime of participating in the American economy, it's going to move forward dramatically over time, and also it's going to have a lot of hiccups. You can blame a lot of people for doing very foolish things. There's a certain number of people who are doing crooked things all the time, and nothing goes wrong for a while, so everybody gets used to doing it. It'll happen again. Asset appreciation draws in people that really don't know anything about the asset, and people start being interested in something because it's going up, not because they understand anything else, but that the guy next door who they know is dumber than they are is getting rich, and they aren't, and their spouse is saying, can't you figure it out too? And I mean, it is so contagious. It's part of our economic system that we will periodically have some craziness go on. And so I don't try to predict markets, or I don't try to predict business. I just try to adapt to what comes along.
I've given talks in the past where I carry with me a 70-page, tightly printed list, and it shows 2,000 auto companies. Now, if at the start of the 20th century you had seen what the auto was going to do to this country, the impact it would have, it transformed the American landscape. But if those 2,000 companies, 3 basically survive, and they haven't done that well at many times. So how do you pick 3 winners out of 2,000? I mean, it's not so easy to do. It's easy when you look back. If you'd bought companies across the board, you wouldn't have made any money because the economic characteristics of that business were not easy to define. The easier thing to do is figure out who loses. And what you really should have done in 1905 or so, when you saw what was going to happen with the auto, is you should have gone short horses. So it's easy to figure out the losers. You know, the loser is the horse. But the winner was the auto overall. But 2,000 companies just about failed. Understanding the economic characteristics of a business is different than predicting the fact that an industry is going to do wonderfully. So figuring out the economic characteristics of the winners in a wonderful business is not easy. So when I look at the internet businesses, I don't know who's going to win. Unless I know who's going to win, I'm not interested in investing. I'll just play around on the computer. Well, that is the key. So if I understand a few things and I stick in that arena, I'll do okay. And if I don't understand something, but I get all excited about it because my neighbors are talking about it and the stocks are going up and everything, I start fooling around someplace else, eventually I'll get creamed, and I should. Defining your circle of competence is the most important aspect of investing. It's not how important, how large your circle is. You don't have to be an expert on everything. But knowing where the perimeter of that circle of what you know and what you don't know is, and staying inside of it, is all important.